Hello, this is a quick update. This is Steve on these brass reading locos I've been redoing. I finished the first one here. It is a 2A2 Class M1S Reading Railroad number 1739. Everything's been wired in, and I feel like it turned out reasonably well. I have to put some coal in the tender, obviously. Everything seems to work fine so far. Haven't run out on the layout yet. But that's my first locomotive there, all finished. So once again, to recapitulate, I may have misspoke my previous video. What I typically do is I take the locomotive apart, take the tender shell off, take the body shell off, clean them very thoroughly, and then I use, as I said, an etching primer on the brass, which is the gray primer, which apparently improves adhesion considerably. And then after that, I airbrush on a coat of grimy black paint, which is what I did here. I lightly weathered this with some weathering powders, and I did a few other little gray with a brush to pop some highlighted areas out. But so it's very, very lightly weathered. But this locomotive's finished and looks pretty good. In any event, you can see I painted the cab windows red. I'm not sure if they were in real life. As far as decaling, it's a pretty simple procedure. I will get some Tester's gloss coat, put a very thin coat on the tender and the cab sides, because decals need to affix to a glossy surface. I then apply the decals, unfortunately letter by letter in this case. This was a set that I had, a generic set, and I spelled out Reading and put the numbers in. I put a number on the front headlight too. I then apply this microsol solution to help the decal to settle down real well. And I always have the side that I just put the decal up so the gravity pushes the decal down as it cures. And then when I'm done, I use a coat of Tester's dull coat, seal everything, and then we're good. So that's the first locomotive. The second locomotive, which the last video I had was brass, the locomotive portion's done also, same procedure. This is number 1723, I believe. And I lightly weathered that as well. This one I had to do additional work on, in the sense it came with no couplers front or back, so I had to add couplers to it for operation purposes. And as you can see right here, I just modified a PD coupler and made a little brass pin, and used super glue to place it into a pre-existing hole, or a hole that I drilled in the bottom of the pilot. And it swings from side to side, but it doesn't have a spring action, but that's okay. You can see obviously the underside's unpainted, but 1739, it works pretty well. You can see the wires out the back. One's the closest to the camera, the two to the headlights. The other pair here, I believe, are the two to the motor. And then you obviously need, these are the two to the motor here, the red and the black. This last one here is a ground that goes to the frame of the locomotive. In this case, I had to kind of jury rig it. I actually put a little screw with a nut into this portion of the frame, and there's a little brass tab, and I soldered the wire to it. So that carries power from the right side of the track, and that'll go to the decoder. So the next step on this one, as I did with the other one, is going to wire it in. This is the standard 9 pin wiring harness you can get. I typically don't use the outside two, so there's 7 wires there that are used to hot wire the decoder. There's red, black, gray, yellow, blue, white, and orange, I believe, and it's a standard wiring procedure. I will run these wires into the tender. So the 2 motor wires, which are the black and red there, they go to the orange and gray wires here. So after I feed these through the tender, which as you can see, I put some small holes in the tender, those wires will go right through there, and then I will hot wire the harness inside the tender. The red wire, I believe, goes to the ground, which is the right side of the driving wheel, which is this one. And then the headlights are controlled, and in this case there's no rear headlights, so I'm going to there's a blue common wire. We'll go to one of them, and then I'm going to wire the white and yellow wires. Normally the white goes to the front, the yellow to the back. I'll just wire them together and put it to the other headlight. So whether the engine's front or backward, the headlight will be on. And then the black wires, the last one of the main ones that we use, that goes to the tender. So that will be wired to the frame of the tender, which picks up power on the left side. And then whatever decoder, a sound decoder, whatever you decide to use, I have this one here I'm going to use. That just plugs right into the 9-pin connector, and as long as you have room in the tender, which I do, it's pretty good to go. That's the inside of the tender, to which I added some additional weight, but there's plenty of room in the tender for that. So my 5 locomotive wires here, the 2 lights, the 2 for the motor and the 1 for the right side of ground. I'll send them through these 3 tiny holes that I drilled and into underneath that brass tab, over the weight, I guess, and into the tender. I'll probably install the speaker in here somewhere facing downwards. And once it's all wired up, I will test it with the DCC system. I just program them in place while it's still here in the workbench, so to speak. I'll program the whistle I want, the chuff sounds, all that kind of stuff, the acceleration, deceleration, top voltage, yada, yada, yada. The instructions are pretty plain. So that locomotive is number 1723, is the second Mikado. And as I say, its tender's ready. The other one I had shown briefly, which is also at the same state of this Mikado. This is this NJ Custom Brass 460. I've gone ahead and finished this one off, and it's pretty good. It runs really, really smooth. You know, I lightly weathered it as well. Used a little bit of dry brushing to pop some of the highlights on the piping and different things, but that's a really nice looking 460 Camelback model. I think it's a class L7, number 609 is the number I picked. Once again, these 2, and I just reassembled this tonight, those 2 I believe go to the headlight. These 2 go to the motor, and I have yet to attach the ground wire. Sometimes I'll make a small tab and actually attach it to one of these back screws that goes into the frame to hold the boiler shell on. That's probably what I'm going to do in this point, although I could certainly finagle something into the frame or whatever. There's different ways to do it. But that locomotive is likewise probably ready to wire decoder in. Now this one here, this 460's got a very small tender, very highly detailed but small tender. It was so light I had to put a lot of weight into it to try to get adequate truck pickup, but this, and it also has a sloping cold. There's not a lot of room in there for a decoder. This one I've ordered online. I'm just going to put in a regular decoder, no sound, just a preference. I don't put sound in every single one, but it should be pretty ready to wire up. I got a little bit of paint touch up to do here on the what do you call the pipe down to the cylinder there. There's some brass showing, and but other than that, this 460, is ready to go. I suspect they use these on the Redding's Catawissa branch. A lot of other railroads had this type of engine, like the Central and New Jersey, but I think that one's going to look okay when it's done. So I mentioned, the decaling. It's very easy. It's very tedious. I use a magnifying visor to do it, to try to get it right. You just have to really take your time and get the letters all lined up. When they line up, yeah, you can see here, I even put in, I don't know how clear it is, I put numbers on the headlight, numbers on the firebox front, and I hope that little 460 works all right. So that's just a brief update on these locomotives. We'll see how it goes from there. Appreciate watching. Thanks.